Hello and welcome back. So right now we are trying to solve a quadratic equation, and so let's actually bring up the example. Okay, so in this case we're trying to actually solve for x, and we want to know what the actual value of x is. And in this case, because this is a quadratic equation, we are going to have two values of x. Okay, and the way we're going to be doing this is by using the quadratic formula. And again, just to make things clear, quadratic formula is different from the quadratic equation. The example, the equation that you see on the screen is a quadratic equation, but the quadratic formula is the formula that you use to find out the values of x. Okay, so that is the actual difference between the formula and the quadratic formula and the quadratic equation. Now, before we actually start using the quadratic formula, the equation needs to be in its standard form. Okay, and that standard form is this. It should look like this. Okay, so what we actually have, the way you make a equation into its standard form, in this case the quadratic equation into its standard quadratic equation form, is by having all of the actual variables and the constants on one side. So you have everything on the, for example, in this case it's going to be on the left hand side. Okay, and when you bring everything on the left hand side, you're left with 0 on the right hand side. Okay, so basically you have nothing left on the right hand side. So this is what we are trying to achieve. First of all, we need to get this we need to get the above equation into this form, and then we can start putting the a's, b's and c's into the quadratic formula. Okay, first first of all, let's get that 3x, the negative 3x, onto the left hand side. Okay, so first of all, again, we need to simplify. We also need to have this the following equation that you see on the screen to be simplified as well. So let's actually bring that negative 3x over to the left hand side, so it can actually add with the 2x. And the way you can do this is by adding 3x to both sides. This way, the 3x on the right hand side can cancel out. Okay, negative 3x added to 3x, it just equals 0. And and on the left hand side, okay, you can have 3x added to 2x. That gives us 5x. Okay, so 3x squared plus 5x. Okay, 3x squared, we didn't do anything with the 3x squared, so 3x squared just comes down, and 3x added to 2x gives us 5x. Okay, so this is what we're left with. Again, we need to convert it into its standard form. We have that 1, we don't want that 1 over there, we want that 1 on the left hand side. It's on the right hand side, so again we can subtract 1 on both sides. We do that, and on the right hand side, the negative 1 and the positive 1, they cancel out. We are left with 0, and on the left hand side we are left with this thing. Okay, and again we just rearrange the things. Okay, so that the x square value comes first, then comes the x1, and then the x raised to the power of 0, which is negative 1 in this case. Okay, that comes in that place. So this is now in its standard form. Okay, so now we can say that the a in this case is going to be 3, the b is going to be 5, and the c is going to be negative 1. So let's actually put this into all these three things into our quadratic formula. So this is this is actually the recipe for finding out the values of x. So let's start putting the values in. Okay, let's put the a's and the b's and the c, and again, so now you just have to simplify the thing. So let's actually start off with simplifying the denominator. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. Let's put 6 in there. Okay, so let's actually, then it's always good to just go inside the discriminant and start by simplifying the discriminant first. 5 squared is equal to 25. Okay, so 3 times negative 1 is equal to negative 3. 4 times and negative 4 times negative 3 is, first of all, a negative number multiplied by a negative number, that gives us a positive number. And 4 times 3 is equal to 12, so we get a positive 12. 25 added to 12, all that gives us 37. Okay, so inside the bracket, inside of the discriminant, we can write 37 because we just solved the discriminant, right? We just simplified the discriminant. So inside the discriminant, you have 37. Okay, now what we did is we separated the positive and the negative into two groups. Okay, because we're dealing with a quadratic equation, we're going to be getting two answers, two values of x, in this case x1 and x2. So we take the positive side, we can call it x1 or we can call it x2. In this case we're calling it x1, and then we take the x2, and that is the negative portion over here. Okay, so let's actually see if the simplification is possible or not, because like square root of 37 isn't actually a perfect square. Okay, it's not, you can't, like 6 times 6 is 36 and 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, so 37 is in between, so you can't actually do anything about this. So this is actually the simplest answer that is possible in this case. Okay, so if you want an exact answer, this is the exact answer. So it's like, this is the simplest it is going to get. Okay, so that is all there is to this this example, and all of the quadratic equations can be solved using this equation. Okay, so just follow these techniques, and thank you for watching, and I really hope you learned something.